There, we got it going. How are you
Okay.
today?
I'm good. I don't know how many committee members might join in today, but if not, at least it's being recorded and I'll just forward the link to them.
Yep, that sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Okay, so can you see anything on my screen right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we set up I set up an event that hopefully will somewhat mimic uh, your trials. Um, but I wanted you to kind of get a feel for, if you haven't been to the website, this is the homepage. We have Vizslas, so these are our dogs um, that that come across the page and the carousel.
Yep.
And this is our test site
Okay.
uh, where when we put in new features, we test it here first and make sure everything works properly in as many situations as we can think of, and then we put it on the live site. So
Okay.
this is where we have put the Sierra Nevada Portuguese Water Dog Club water trial.
Okay.
So before we begin, do you have any specific questions you definitely want us to that you want to ask and want us to cover?
I I don't, well, I do have one specific question. We have for the courier and master level dogs, people have the option of using a substitute steward. And
Okay.
I know that clubs that are already doing some sort of online, either Google form or whatever for their entries, um, we're not requiring if their substitute steward is entered in the trial as a handler, we don't make them fill out another participation agreement, but we do have a participation agreement that they do have to sign if they're not already entered with their own dog. So is that something that could be a functionality of your program, or is it something that our trial secretaries should just kind of one off and email the participation agreement to those people?
We may have a solution for that.
Okay, great.
Um, and we can cover that when we look through all the secretary capabilities.
Okay, perfect.
Um, what I wanted to show you first was the site from the entrance point of view.
Okay.
So if someone's going to enter the event, um, they would come to the site, find the event. If you manage your event on PerfDog, which if you plan to do this with us going forward, um, we feature the events that are managed on the front page.
Okay.
So they would just click "Tell me more," and then they would see the information. Oh, we didn't go out of the bracing sheets to go back. So they would see the information I put in. I'm not sure exactly how your levels would look. I kind of took a stab at what you all might have. So there's junior, apprentice, both regular and non-regular, and they're all here, and all the fees and judges. If you had judges already ahead of time on your premium, they would all be listed here for every exercise or level that you guys are offering. And then you would have your premium. I just made up this flyer. You would put your premium here, and folks would be able to click on it and see the actual PDF file and download it if they would like to do that. So this is
Okay.
the first page that entrants would see initially.
Okay. Yeah,
There's usually an end.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think we would need to distinguish between regular and non-regular. We have trial secretaries that don't even understand the difference.
Okay.
So I think we would just do junior, apprentice, working, courier,
Okay.
master. just the
Okay.
different levels. It's usually
So we
how we
don't.
do our entry forms.
Okay. So you don't need to know as a secretary which Rod's got to put the event back into entry status. So this is my husband Rod. He's
Hi.
right behind all of the software for the entire website.
Okay.
He's going to put this back into entry mode.
Yeah, she already kind of put it in a mode where we pretended the event is closed and it's time to start running the event. So I'm going to reverse time and put it back to where people can enter again. So you can see what that looks like.
Okay, great.
Just give me a second here.
And I read somewhere you guys are in Broomfield. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
That's where my son lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Small world.
Yeah.
Have you been out here?
I have. I actually helped him move when he moved up there. It was almost 2.5 years ago. Or no, not 2.5. A year and a half. He's been there a year and a half.
Okay.
So, but we've been there several times.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty area, but I don't even know if you've seen it since it's grown up. Oh gosh. I mean, I-25 is getting crazy now. The new mall that's over there. Okay. So now you should be able to see a screen that says enter now.
Yep.
It has the secretary when it's open until and when it closes. So again, this is the entrant. So they would see this page that states that they need to have their contact info, dog info, and payment. Then they would just click get started. It would go through. It shows their information, their address. They can put their phone number in. Secretaries like that in case the person is missing when they're supposed to be on the line or ready to take their dog in. There's a list of dogs. If you want to add another dog as an entrant, you click on this and you go through a wizard that allows you to put in the AKC number, the call name, and then I believe we have a lot of the dogs already populated in our system from the AKC, and it usually pre-fills in the dog's names. You just have to then fill in the sire and dam, and the breeder's information. This is all AKC required information that we have in here because we, of course, started with pointing breed, hunt test, and field trials, and those bits of information are required.
Yeah, and those are on our entry form. Those are required for us too. So we basically modeled our entry form after a standard AKC entry form. So
okay, so that's perfect then.
Yeah.
So we would gather all that information from the entrant. Then this is the screen that they would see to actually do their entry. So I believe Lucy is a Portuguese water dog in this person's profile. So say she was going to enter. Now, of course, you said we don't need regular and non-regular, so we just have Junior here. Junior on Saturday, Junior on Sunday. I haven't been to one, but I'm very curious now to see one of your trials.
Well, our Colorado, we have a club in Colorado that has a trial. I don't know that they've submitted for one for their sanctioning yet this year, but
okay.
They do have one. It's usually they've moved their location recently. It's now up in Windsor, I think.
Okay.
Do it. Yeah.
You're maybe near Cobble Lake or something. So then you can choose handlers here.
Okay.
Same handlers, different handlers. Well, this is a carryover from the pointing breeds, but this might be where you all can possibly put in where they can put in notes for their alternate or their I'm sorry, what did the steward?
Steward.
Or it could be the alternate handler, as they could type in somebody's name here as their steward. That's one option they can do, and this would flag this entry as an entry that has another person associated with it, meaning one handler and then someone else involved. So that might be one option. We do have a documents page that a secretary can add to the event as well. And that document can be printed and signed and either emailed in or brought to the event or whatever it is that you all might require. So that might be the other option that could be in place here to help with that steward situation. Any other notes that that the entrant might have for the secretary can be typed in here, and this will show up in the running order and in a couple of other places on the site when the secretary is looking through the entries. If they want to enter another dog, they can do it here, and I believe Molly is my other dog here that can enter. Now I'll show you that if it's not a dog, April, I think, is an Irish setter, it's the wrong breed. So they can't enter this event. So we'll go back to Molly. So Molly can also enter 1-2 days, depending on how this is set up. And again, a handler, and then don't need to enter another dog. So here's the review of the entry. It shows what they're entered in. These can all be customized and changed. The information here in the setup area with where the secretary has all the control. And then update the cart. And this again is our test situation. So this again, you can see the details and click to pay $200 with the 4. Oh, sorry. There is a cancellation and change policy. We are in process of giving clubs the option to cover this $3, and it will not appear in this section if they opt for that capability. Okay. What that means is if your club wants to hide the fact that you're charging $3 extra, you can build it into your premium entry fees, and it won't show up here. And then it's coming out of the proceeds that go to the club in the end anyway. And we found that, especially in the field trial world of pointing breeds, they have a fit about the fees because even if it's baked in, they feel like they're being, reamed with fees, and they don't like it, especially if they're entering like 20 dogs at a time, which some pros do. So, we're allowing the clubs to build it in and eliminate this language so that they can make the entrants and the professional handlers happy. So that's going to be an option going forward, and we should have that in the next month. Okay. Maybe in the next 2 weeks, depends on how quickly I can get the testing done. And here they can send in a check or pay with credit card. Either way, it's the same amount that they owe. In the pay with credit card, we use Stripe, which is a very large.
I'm familiar with Stripe.
So we use Stripe, and they can opt to save the card or authorize this. If this is good, if they're getting on a waiting list and they just want the administrator to just charge them automatically. Okay. They'll check this box, and then you'll be able to let them in. They'll be let in no matter what, but it'll be paid immediately. So they pay, it finalizes the payment. Everyone gets an email. The secretary gets an email. The entrant gets an email, both saying what they entered and how much they paid. So they get 2 emails. and the secretary gets an email saying who entered, what the dog's information is, and what they were entered in. So that is what the entrant sees.
Okay.
Now,
Now, when
secretary.
the entrant needs, the handler needs to set up like an account on the website, correct, to get all their dog information in there?
Yeah, so the profile, once they sign in, it asks for all of this information through the wizard. We bypassed all of that, but they would usually get a screen that asks for their profile information and then their dog information, because you have no dogs. It will say you need to add a dog, and then it'll take them into the entry wizard area where they choose the levels they want to enter.
Okay. And then I have a question about our titles, because our titles are not AKC titles, they're just PWDCA titles. Is there a way for the handlers to enter those? Because as a trial secretary, I'm looking at what they're putting in as their water title to make sure they're eligible
Okay.
for what they're entering.
Okay. Yeah. So under my dogs, let's see. Here's the information of the dogs. This dog is just a test dog. So in here you can edit the dog information. Here's the registration.
Okay.
And here is the registered name without titles, and here's it with all titles. So in here you can put in, say, what would be a title that
It would go at the end. It would be like AWD.
AWD?
Yeah.
Whoops. AWD. And you can save the dog.
Okay.
There are more. So now it says AWD right here.
Yeah.
Name with titles. And this blue box shows that this dog was recently updated. I can show you the other screens too, so you can kind of get an idea of. So they can put in color. I don't know if your breed requires that. Parents go here. People. So the breeder's name is Richard. This is who the owners are, and who who the handler is. They can put in another person if they'd like, and then the review page kind of goes over the entire bit of information. And I know ours has a DNA information, our breed, so we have that there for our Visual Club of America events require a DNA number for entry. So
oh, really?
We have that there. So that's how they can change their dog titles.
Okay, perfect. That's just, I can see people not necessarily updating that, but it's good. It's a good double check for our trial secretaries to say, oh, this dog only has apprentice water dog. It can't enter master water dog. But I can go back to our club website and I can look up dogs and when they bring their titles too. So our awards committee does an amazing job with that. So
oh, good.
Yeah.
And then as a secretary, you can also update dog information.
Oh, okay,
so
perfect.
You have the ability to do that as well. So now I'm going to show you what the secretary has, which I'm a field secretary for our hunt test and field trials for our club. So this is why this was created, because of me, because I didn't like what we had in place before. So
yeah, I'm not happy with what we've been doing so far, and all of our clubs are all over the place, and we can't force all our regional clubs to use this, but we could definitely promote it as an option. So
yeah, you can never force, but you know, if you show them the benefits, they can at least look and see if it makes sense to them.
Oh, for sure.
So I am working as the secretary for this event now. So she is Kitty Russell, and she can see how many dogs are entered in each. So 2 are here, 2 are here, 2 here. 12 entries for Saturday. This is a little clunky. I'll admit, but this is based on our clinics setup
Okay.
for events, and this is something that we will improve as time goes on. Compared to what we had 3 years ago, our field event software is completely different. So it gives us a whole lot more capabilities than we used to have. So that's the route we're going to take with the clinics. The clinic, which is going to be our other events, basically environment here that you'll get to see. So this, I have her entered with her dogs, and she has 3 of them in these events. So as an entrant, this is what they would see. They can see that they paid with a credit card on this date and that they added this many entries. The secretary sees the same screen essentially here, except for the ability to set up, manage, and report.
Okay.
And in setup, actually, this is the entire screen. This is the bulk of everything that you can do as a secretary for this type of event. Basics. This is the documents area where I said you could put in that document for the stewards. And it could be part of the entry process. Trials. This is part of the setup for where the names of each level go in. This is where you can, I don't know if you call them run times, and if you need a buffer between each dog running, and if you have a time limit on each exercise. But this is where you can set this information up so that you can see how long your day is going to be.
Yeah, we have a formula that's set up in our water trial manual that it includes the briefing time. So for example, our courier dog level, we have to allow for 20 minutes per dog.
Okay.
But we don't put a buffer time in between those because every dog gets a 3-minute warm up before they start.
Okay.
So basically, I used to run the trials in Northern California, and we had 2 rings, and it was very busy and very full. And so as the dog was leaving the ring, the next dog would be coming in for their warm up.
Okay.
So there's really that we don't need a buffer time. So that'll be set to 0. So, but
Yeah.
But our different levels have different, juniors are 10 minutes, apprentice and working are 15 minutes, and courier and master are 20 minutes.
Okay.
Basically our formula.
Well, that would be for those clubs who want to set limits on their either the amount of time they're going to spend on each level each day, or how many they'll take per day or per level. This allows them to set those limits, and then anyone who tries to enter after that will go on to a waiting list, and then the secretary can choose who to put into the trial from that waiting list. So this has been a lifesaver for a lot of, I'm running a hunt test this coming weekend, and we had 8 dogs on our waiting list. I had to pick and choose who got to go in. One was a judge, and so she got to get in definitely, and one was a club member. So, you can, I think you guys have the ability or need the ability to let volunteers in, correct? Or hold slots for them?
So right now, most of our trials are not maxing out time-wise. Just
okay.
It just hasn't happened for several years. There was a time there when a lot of our trials were going to 2 rings just because we can get a trial done. And they're so few and far between that, we basically only have trials from July to September. So it's very limited season for us. So we have, most of our clubs don't limit by number of entries per level, but according to our rules, you can't have more than 8 hours of judging per
Okay.
day. So what some of the clubs were doing when we were really full is they had a random draw. So there was a draw period that was kind of like a preliminary closing date. So if your entry wasn't in by the draw, then you might not get in.
Okay.
But entries were still open, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So usually, like when we were doing it in Northern California, we would close the trials on, we would close the draw on July 15th, but our entries would be open until July 22nd. So if we weren't full on July 15th at 8 hours of judging per ring, then we'd keep accepting entries and everybody that entered. But if we were full, if we had over 16 hours of judging per the formula, then we would have a random draw and then a wait list would get created.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know how that would work, but right now I don't think that's something that we necessarily need to worry about. The only thing that's really super busy is our national specialty,
Mhm.
and we have exceptions for the national specialty.
I saw that you're not going to allow like extra. Yeah. I think I saw
Now
something.
the first exercise, you're done. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. So that will make it go quicker.
Yes, it does.
So okay, so that might not be something that you need yet, but it could be something you could use in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is the setup area where the event name, venue location, start date, end date, entry date, closing date. So we are planning to have multiple close dates in here, and that might be something that could be useful for the clubs that have that second
random
close, basically.
Yeah.
It's not fully implemented just yet, but that is something we plan to get in place in the near future, so within the next couple months. So
Okay.
that is something that might be helpful. The documents is where you can upload a document that people will have to fill out, read, or agree to before. And this may be where you can place that document for the stewards. And it'll be part of the wizard where they're going through and they're choosing their dogs and their entries. They won't be able to get past that page unless they say that they've read it and understand it. Whether or not they want to print it off is up to them. This is where the levels, this is messy because I put in regular and non-regular, but
Okay.
these can be unlocked and edited. You choose one and you edit it. And it has several options here. When to start day. You can make it have not before or an estimated time or not sure, or it comes after, follows a level. You can make it just automatically follow a level. It's really,
That's
really
nice. That's what we tend to do. Most of our trials go Saturday junior through master and Sunday master through junior.
okay. So
not every club does it that way, but a lot of clubs do it that way.
Yeah. So that allows you to, and you can also move it like this. But I'm not going to mess with that right now. But yeah, you can move it like that as well. And that's an easy way to do that. Breed restrictions is where you can restrict your breed, which is what I did with the Portuguese water dog for all of these. And judges and volunteers, you can put in all of your volunteers here. So the secretary is listed here. The chair can be placed in here. Anyone on this list will also get an email that is sent to anyone entering are entered in the event or volunteering in the event. These people on this list are automatically included in the emails. So you're bracing and everything.
Emails, like if I'm sending an email out, they're not getting notified of every entry and all that, right?
No. Just
Okay.
just when you send an entry out, I'm sorry, when you send, say, the running order out, the bracing sheets, or not the bracing sheets, sorry, the running order out, or the or any kind of we have this in this
COVID
area.
information or anything like that.
Yes. So
Okay.
here, who will you send to? You can choose any of these people, put in your email subject, message. You can preview, send yourself a test email to see what it looks like, or just send it to everybody. So this
Okay.
is, every secretary loves this because they don't have to plug in all of the email addresses into, you know, Outlook or whatever email program they're using.
Right.
So you can, this is so much information, but you can manage your entries here. You can add an entry for somebody who sends you an email entry or calls you on the phone and says, I want Bubba entered into this event on this day, blah, blah, blah. So you
I'm going to
basically,
tell them, go online and enter.
you can do that. Here's where you can type in their information and then go through the same screens that they would go through.
But so now, as the trial secretary, can you add somebody after the trial date? So for example, some of our clubs have smaller entries, and so they allow for day of trial entries.
So yes, we can allow for day of trial entries, and then they would even get an email and be able to pay online. They can even enter on site if they wanted to, or the secretary can enter on their behalf and collect funds there and say that, and tell us that everything's been paid. And that would be through these screens.
Okay.
It would be the same thing. Okay. I know you asked about leaving space on, say, the catalog or some other paperwork. I think just adding a page will probably be easier to do. And then handwriting in those additional people. The other option is after, you know, what we give clubs right now is a catalog, and then it's printed before the event actually starts. So you can add in pages to that catalog with your day of trial entries. Or you can bring a printer to the event and put them in and then print it out there right before it's about to start. So that can happen too. If you have the ability to, you know, link to the internet with a hotspot on your phone and you have a printer, that's something that you can do as well.
Okay.
You can cancel entries here. All people, their dogs are listed here. So if someone calls you as and for whatever reason doesn't want to do it themselves online, you can do it here. And you just click cancel one entry, and everyone gets their emails saying that this dog was canceled. You can replace a dog. You can move an entry to another level. Say you have move ups. This is where that would happen.
Okay.
And this is a fairly new addition, and it's pretty slick. It'll tell you if the dog's not eligible, if they're already entered, because you're not going to choose that. So otherwise, in this case, the secretary is going to have to be sure that they are eligible to move up.
Right.
That, again, everyone gets emails when anything changes. So these are all of the changes and additions that secretaries can make to the dogs that are entered in their trial.
Okay.
Here's where if there's dogs on the waiting list, this is where that is located. You can change people's information here, search for a name, like me. You can change my information. We we hope that people aren't in here doing malicious things, but only secretaries that are actually secretarying this event are allowed in here. And in your event, there's a user permissions, and only the secretary right now has access. So Kitty Russell's the only one that can get in here and do things to the system. You can add anyone else in your club that you want to have capability of downloading any reports or being a substitute secretary or anything such as that.
Okay.
If you need labels, this prints out labels for dogs. You don't know if you need to have bitches in heat marked, but this will automatically select. You can automatically say I want them bitches in heat, and it'll put them at the bottom of the running order.
Nice. We put ours at the end of the day, but
Okay.
you know, they don't go at the end of their, you know, if they're entered in apprentice and they're in heat, they go at the end of the day regardless, but we do still keep them in order.
So do you bring the judges back, or is it the same judges all day?
We have usually it's one judge.
Okay.
That's all day. And then, so the bitches in heat, they keep them crated separately. And then as soon as the last level is done, which is, you know, depending on which day it is, then the bitches in heat go in order of how they would have been judged during the regular trial. So if there's an apprentice and a courier dog, the apprentice dog will go first, and then the courier dog. It's kind of up to the judge and the trial secretary and trial chair, just how they want to do it, but they always go at the end of the day. And I know for our national specialty this year, they're talking about doing all the bitches in season on Sunday at the end of the day, regardless of their level. So,
okay. Well, good. Well, that's
a nice
feature. Yeah, we'll have to see if that works for putting at the end of the day. That would be a possible change to the system.
We usually just, we just usually, a lot of times we don't know until the day of the trial. And the person comes and says, you know, Susie Q dog went into heat on Wednesday. And so, you know, we're like, okay, fine. And we just write BIS and on the judging orders, and then we just know to do it at the end.
Okay.
We don't have, you know, we're only talking about trial of 35 dogs in general in a day. So not huge like some of these, it's not big like an agility trial, you know.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
Dogs in a day, so.
Okay, so so then it won't be confusing and looking through a bunch of papers to find the bitches in season. So, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I'll show you our entries report. If you wanted to see, say, the forms that you would ad block enabled. I don't know what that is. This has all of the forms of all of the dogs in the event. So if you did need to send it to your parent club, they don't have the signatures since this is electronic entry, but this information is all here and easy to access, and it's always here. Even when your event closes, you have access to it. So that is helpful. Let's see. Return. Okay, so when the event closes, this goes away.
Okay.
And you can manage a running order. And it can be just not going forward. Oh, there it goes. So these dogs were, what did I do? I entered 4 dogs after I had, so as a secretary, I entered 4 dogs after I had already looked at the running order before. So now I'm supposed to figure out if it caused any issues in the running order, and then I can lock it. So it's a lot going on here. You have a lot to choose from. There's instructions here that are very basic, but I have a help center that addresses everything in depth. It has articles on all kinds of tips and tricks and how to do your running order, what each of these, icons mean and everything. So you can do a new random draw, you can update bitches in heat, you can cancel, you can change your event limits, your times. Say you're not starting at 8 because you have, 20 dogs entered and it's going to take no time. So let's start at 10 a.m. instead. You can click this box, or you can go here and go to your stakes page or levels page. And it'll take you to that page to update the new times. Unless, oh, there it goes. Slower than usual through Zoom, I suppose. So you can change your start time here and save it. And it should take us back. So now it's 10 a.m. that you're starting instead of 8 a.m. So that, I love this because I have needed this so many times with our events. Dogs can be moved like this.
Okay.
Or by automatically fixing problems. And in this case, our automatic fix settings are avoid back to back. So we don't want Beth Dutton to run 2 dogs back to back.
Right.
If her alternate handler doesn't show up or whatever. So that before that, you saw that there were little warning signs, which means there are serious concerns here with the same person running back to back. So I don't have that many entered in here, but here's a bitch that's in season. She is automatically placed at the bottom.
Okay.
And you can choose one dog and move it up or down by clicking this radio button. You can add a new run if you need to, in case there's a bitch in season issue. You can choose 2 squares here and swap dogs. And if you have more than the amount that I have here, you will, I just clicked automatically fix for these 2. So it should, it's usually faster than this.
Yeah, thank you, Zoom, for slowing everything down. Now, does it look at if you have more than one, like for our national specialty, for example, we have 2 rings running at a time. Does it have the ability to do that?
Side by side.
Yeah, side by side. Does it see those conflicts? I think I saw something on the website that showed it did.
You can see the conflicts. It fixes conflicts that are within one level.
Okay.
But you can view them side by side, and then you can bring, this is not, but you can bring like say the 8 o'clocks right up next to each other, and then look at them side by side in the same screen and see if there's anyone that is in that same time frame that may be overlapping or have to be in one ring and then the other ring at the same time, and you can move them.
Okay.
So it allows you to do that.
Okay.
So the rest of this looks good.
That's what we usually end up with in a 2-ring setting. We have somebody who's got an apprentice dog and they've got a courier dog and they're running at the same time, and we have to fix that. And we do it manually anyways. But it's nice that we can do it in the system before we actually send out any kind of run order. And I like that it shows the time on the side, so it'll give me an estimated time of knowing. And I'm a judge too, and most of the judges we're pretty flexible. If you've got a conflict, just move down. We don't care.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we've made this flexible in that you do not have to show the running times if you don't want to. Some clubs don't want, because people will say, well, I was supposed to run at 10:30, and didn't work out that way because something happened. So at this point, you can email the running orders, post it to your event page, view and print your stakes. The email running orders looks like the email screen that I showed you earlier, with a couple of optional changes you can make to the actual running order. But you can choose side by side or one stake at a time. This shows, the one stake at a time shows the entire name of the dog with their titles and everything. So it would look, sorry, it takes a little bit of time.
That's okay.
It would look like this. This is not the actual PDF, but this would be similar to what you would see. Let's see if this will open nicely. View PDF. Okay, so this would be the running order. And my dogs, as the secretary, are Beamer, Groot, and Mabel. So they're highlighted so that I know when they're running. Nice. And like you said, you only have 35 dogs or whatever, so it wouldn't be hard to find. But this helps in some situations, and it might help with the national for folks who are looking for their dogs quickly on the running order.
I do like side by side one that you showed me specifically for the national, because I know people all the time are flipping back and forth at the national. What's going on in that ring? And if it's right next to each other, it kind of shows you what's going on.
Yes. And we don't, I mean, this one doesn't show two rings, but it would, you would have two side by side. And actually, if, did you see? I'm not sure. You might be able to see, if you poke around on our site tonight, you'll see the side by side for our two clubs that are running our hunt test this weekend. Is the Mile High Weimaraner Club and the Rocky Mountain Visual Club. And we have each club side by side for our hunt test, so that everyone can see the dogs on one field and on the other field, and when they're running at the same time. We had a lot of conflicts we had to work through, so this was it's always handy to have this when we do that. So this is, here's where we can email the running order. You can customize your message here from the secretary. Please send replies to, this would say the secretary's name who is signed into the account here. You can send a customized running order, which has everyone's name and dog highlighted, or a generic one, which has nothing, or you don't have to have a running order attached. Again, you can choose side by side or one stake at a time. You can include your estimated run times here if you'd like to, and then you can send yourself a test email to see if it looks like what you intended to look like. So we will, I'm not going to send emails, but that is the option you have. Those are the options you have on that screen, which we've worked through that over the years to make that really nice. Breaks and lunches. Oh, you can add breaks and lunches here. I don't know if you have events that run across 2 days, but you can break for the day.
Yeah, we tend to, our judges tended to take their lunches when they feel like it. So it kind of depends on how quickly the events are running through. They like to end like halfway through a level, or, you know, it depends on the judge. And then because for the national, because that's a whole different ball of wax, that's one trial over 2 days.
Okay.
So most of our trials, it's one trial, 1 day, 35 dogs in one ring. But for our national specialty, we get 100 to 120 entries. So it's one trial over 2 days in 2 rings with 2 judges.
Okay.
So it's a little more complex, but
Yeah. Well, if you found that you wanted to pre-plan when you would break for the day, you have that capability here.
okay.
You could add the break or for a lunch break, and it will put a, you know, put it in there into the running order for everyone to see, or stop for the day if you want to break at a certain between two different before brace 3, after brace 3, you get to choose when you want to add your break within the we may need to change that brace word, but this within the level you can choose the level and then add your break, whether you're breaking for lunch or across 2 days.
Okay.
We'll say this. So if you feel the need to use that, you can, and it'll stick it in here. And there's the lunch that showed up. But it might be something where you plan it more on the fly, and then you wouldn't add it in here. Depends on how formal you want it to be.
Yeah, we're not that formal.
Okay. Okay, so when you lock the running order, it will appear on the front page of the site. So if we went to the home page, which is slow, we will see that you can see the brace sheets. So everyone can see brace sheets now, and they have the capability of seeing the running order and the catalog. Now, I know you mentioned the catalog. Yes, we usually, for some reason, the copy I sent you did not have boxes for the qualifiers, which it should, and signature lines for the judges, which it should also. So include judge and secretary signature pages in PDF. So it should include that.
Okay, we
as
don't
well.
need our judges don't sign our catalogs.
Okay.
They get submitted to our water trial committee who we have a person who collects all the reports, and she compares the judges' score sheets to what was submitted to her as the results, just to
Oh, the score sheet. Oh,
verify.
that's okay. So that's what you were meaning.
Yeah.
So this got it. So what we do, and the reason we use this is this becomes our official
Right.
submission to the AKC with the signature and the boxes, which are not showing up here, that show who qualified or the placements. We have placements for field trials, so we'd write 1, 2, 3, and 4 next to the placements for each level. But that's something you can use for your reporting if you feel it's
The
something
catalog
that fits your needs.
Yeah, the catalog is great because especially most of the clubs produce some sort of catalog, and some of the clubs actually print it out and some of the clubs just email the PDF, here's the catalog.
Okay.
So and I thought I saw in there was a checkbox to include signature lines, so we would just not use that checkbox and then have that, right? So
Okay.
I think that works really well. I know when I was in Northern California, I was the trial chair, and my trial secretary, she did, she has a huge database of a bunch of Portuguese water dogs and all the water trials that she ever trial secretaried, and she had it all set up to print out the score sheets and the running orders and all of that. But the software to run that system is prohibitive. So she had access to it through her work. So that's when I started looking online. I'm like, there's so many dog event entry things. There's got to be something more similar that everybody could use. So I that's how I ran across your site. So
Okay.
It looked
I'm glad
really
you did.
good to me. Um, I the only question I have is if somebody mails a check, does that come to the trial secretary? Does that go to you? How does that get managed?
Well, the idea behind PerfDog is to take the burden, as much of a burden as possible, off of the trial secretary. So what we ask in that last page where they can pay by credit card or check is if they click check, they're going to get a screen that says mail to PerfDog. Here's the mailing address. This is how much you owe, etc., etc. If they choose not to, we can't do anything about it. If they send it to the secretary, then we have a workaround on the site that where the secretary will have to send me all the information on that check so that I can record that yes, this person did in fact pay. Otherwise, they'll get hounded for a while. So, and when we enter that, it'll show that they paid. Either way,
It doesn't
it
bother
doesn't.
me. It doesn't matter to me either way. I just want to make sure I have it clear in my head, how it's
Yeah.
managed, so that, because this is going to be something completely new for
Yes.
a lot of people. And so I want to make sure that when I get those questions as a trial secretary, people are going to all be, no, you need to mail it to PerfDog, read the instructions.
Yeah.
So
Mail to PerfDog, and then we have all of the entry fees, and we mail your club we email you the itemized report of everything collected and what our fees were, and then which is I'm not sure how much you charge per entry, but I did forward you information about our fee schedule. So we're usually around $3 to $4, depending on the entry fees that clubs charge, unless it's a huge event. And then when you're looking at $75 an entry, it goes up a little bit in the processing fees. But we send you the report with all the information, and we mail you one check, which covers all of your entries minus our processing fees. So that's less burden on the secretary, and we tend to send that to the treasurer so that here in Colorado we're all over the Front Range, and our treasurer is up in Morrison or the Evergreen area, and our president is down in Parker, and I'm on the board, I'm here in Broomfield, and everyone's all over the place. So having the check sent to the treasurer so that they can go ahead and deposit it as they're supposed to, and keep the books correct is what we feel is the best option for most clubs. But we ask ahead of time if that's how the club wants to take care of payment.
okay, I would imagine most of our regional clubs would want it that way, and it's actually kind of nice because our board is everywhere from Maine to California and everywhere in between. And every year there's a new treasurer for the national specialty. So each national specialty has its own checking account. So it can't even, it's kind of crazy. So
yeah, oh gosh.
yeah. And then we get to an area where they don't even have a Wells Fargo bank, and then they have to open something else. So anyways, it's always fun. So you did mention, is there like an Excel spreadsheet? I think you mentioned something about an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes. Under reports, export data.
Okay.
So that's under reports, and you can download a CSV file, and it contains probably more information than you want.
Okay.
With the dogs, what day they were entered, the level they were entered in, who their handler was, who their owner is, the owner's information. It's just each column has something. So it's a lot of data, and you can of course delete what you don't want when you submit it to your nationals, your trial administrators. But I use this myself for some things, so it's helpful. And we had a rattlesnake clinic recently, and he downloaded that, and he used that as his check-in sheet for the clinic. So it was very helpful for that.
That would be helpful for us too, because we do an equipment check-in prior to the trial starting. People have to make sure that their equipment meets the regulations. And so
Okay.
we do an equipment check. And so I could see how we might be able to utilize that for that as well.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it would
we
work
could let
well.
people, use squeaky toys and squeaky dummies and stuff like that.
No, I think I'm really interested in seeing what your dogs do. I would love, like I said, to see a trial because it's fascinating. I love seeing dogs do what they were bred to do.
I do too. That's why I got into this in the first place. And then I became a judge. I'm on the National Water Committee. So I just love watching dogs do what they're supposed to do, what they were originally bred to do. And I think it's a testament to the people who started this program for our club, because, our breed was almost extinct after World War II. So the fact that we brought it back and have these breed specific trials is kind of cool. I'm going to find a link for you that's basically one of our water judges put together. It's an example of every single exercise and by level. So I'll send you the link to his page and you can watch it. And then when I find out when the Colorado club's having their trial, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I don't know when they're having it this year. So it's too bad it wasn't 2 years ago, because our national specialty was in Greeley. So
Oh yeah, I saw that actually on your homepage for your national. I wanted to ask you when you guys are planning to open this event for entries.
So it'll probably be July when it opens for entries. My closing date is September 1st. I used to be in Northern California, so I know all the folks out there really well. And the Northern California club would like to use this system for their trial, which is tentatively scheduled for the first weekend in August. And I'm not sure when they plan to open entries. I would imagine sometime in June.
Okay.
And she was going to try to make this call, but she's got 8-week-old puppies on the ground. So
they're at 8 weeks. You're kind of busy.
Yeah, she's trying to get them out the door,
Yeah, I bet that's the time.
Yeah. So, anyways, so those are, and then I'm also the trial secretary for my local trial, which I'm probably going to be pulling my hair out, but I think I'm going to close that. It's going to be the weekend before the national special water trial. Okay. But I like the feature where you can like assign other secretaries, because I may have to pass that off to somebody else. Because if my daughter's a figure skater, and if she qualifies for nationals, that's the weekend that it is.
Okay. All right.
A crazy month for me, and I'm judging a trial that month, so it's going to be an interesting month.
You're going to be busy for sure.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at. And I've talked to the trial chair for the national specialty, and he's on board with this. We were going to be using Wix events, but when I look at what Wix events does versus what you guys do, I'm like, I'll pay the difference myself to save the time, so that's that. I'm definitely planning on using this for the national specialty. So I'm still working on finalizing the premium. And then what do we need to do to move forward for this? for the national and for my California friend.
What we tend to do is, so I guess the questions are going to be, are you going to want to hide those entry fees and bake it into your premium or your entry fees, the processing fees, bake it into the entry fees? What that we would have to, I think we need to send you some information on what that would specifically mean. And
Okay.
then because that would mean whether or not you need to include probably need to include certain language in your premium to give everyone a heads up that, if they cancel, and your club doesn't volunteer to take care of the entry or the processing fees, they won't get that $3 or $4 back, because that mostly gets kept by the credit card company.
Yeah, and most goes to Stripe. I get that.
So yeah, so we'd have to figure out how to handle the processing fees. And then, like I said, we should be able to hide that information if the two clubs decide to absorb those fees. If not, we do have language that probably needs to be in your premium to give everyone a heads up before they enter that these fees are being charged, and if you cancel, you will not receive those processing fees back.
Okay.
So I think
And
that's
if somebody does cancel through the website, normally we don't provide any refunds after closing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say somebody enters and then, on August 1st, and then 2 weeks later, their dog is lame and they know they're not going to be able to show their dog, and they withdraw prior to the closing date. Does that just automatically, if they do it online, is that automatically processed through your system? Or is there?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
They're canceled out of the event and we refund them their entry fee less the processing fee.
Okay.
And if your club decides not to absorb the processing fees, but there is a dog that passed away or something happened after they were entered and you want to cover those processing fees, you just let me know and we'll take care of it on our end.
Okay.
We're very flexible. We understand. I mean, I do dog events. I know.
Yeah,
we're not trying to be like the police, but I mean, we do provide this service, and so if the club makes some money, we take a small cut. It's a small cut of and those processing fees, we have a tiny bit of cut that's in there that Stripe doesn't get, that we get to keep.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we're actually getting any income right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we make it easy, but we also are very, very stringent on those processing fees. We don't get it back, and we keep it, and somebody pays, either the entrant or the club.
Yeah. Well, I know when I talked to Elaine, she was talking about their club, the Northern California club, would for sure absorb the fees. And I think for the national specialty, just out of simplicity's sake, would probably do the same, because what we were planning to use for events was going to cost us $275, and for 25 cents more per entry, I'm getting a PDF ready running order, catalog, all that stuff that takes the trial secretaries a lot of time. So
yeah, it's a time saver for sure.
It's for sure a time saver. So
what are your entry fees?
So our entry fees are $45 for the national, and the same, I think Northern California is raised theirs to $45. It might be 40, but most of our trials will fall in that $3 range that I saw. You have, so
then if you place entry fees on your premium, they'd say 48, and then your club gets 45 of all each. You get $45 for each entry, is what
Right.
you're
So
looking
I
at.
think what we would do is we want to tell them it's 45, so it'd be 42 for you for the actual entry fee plus the $3 if we're
Okay.
absorbing that fee.
So
That's
then
how I think.
entrance would pay 45, and then when we cut the final check to your club, each entry would go to your club at $42.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's I was taught our committee chair, she's like, I don't ever do online entry. She does agility. Well, at $3 an entry, when you're entering 2 dogs in 2 days of an agility and 3 and 4 events a day, it adds up.
Yeah.
So I get that, but at the same time, to me, this is something that's taking the load off of the trial secretaries. To me, that's something that I'm willing to pay for that. If it's saving me time, I'm willing to pay the difference. And most of our clubs that are already doing online entries take PayPal. So, they're paying PayPal $1.50, $1.60, something like that per entry.
Yep.
So
Yep.
to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's really not. There's some language that's different than what our people are used to. So,
And we
that's
can tweak that. Yes.
okay.
And
Awesome.
you meaning the trial and levels and such? Were you meaning
There's
disclosures?
something you talked about, stakes. We don't
Yeah.
use that term at all.
Well, yeah, braces,
Braces.
yeah, and stakes and braces, yeah.
Brace
Yeah, some
to
of the
me is a
words
totally different thing.
we do need to we do need to tweak some of those things, and this is where we work with clubs to figure out what works best for them, and then we'll change it. So I would I'm gonna actually send you some screenshots and ask you what word would work here, and we'll change it and make it work for your events, because your breed is different from what we have been doing in the past. So this is what we do.
Okay. Well, this is awesome. And then I'm just going to put this little nugget out there to you that you might want to reach out to the Newfoundland Club of America, because they also do water trials. And I don't know what their trial secretaries are using now, but I know somebody who was the trial secretary here in Texas who about 5 years ago, and it was all on paper, all manual.
Yeah.
Their whole entire club is very 1970s based on paper, so even more so than ours. So just as a little business nugget for you, they also do water trials, and they do those where they pull carts and stuff.
Oh yeah,
So
carpooling.
yeah, cart pulling.
Yeah.
We don't do that, but they do both of those. So they do cart
Okay.
pulling in the winter and water trials in the summer, and might just get a little extra benefit for you guys, getting more people using the
It's
system.
just, I'll be honest, it's hard to just approach people and not feel like we're spamming them. So we don't want to be that company or that, small business that's like, so I mean, I might
Well,
reach out to somebody.
what I might do then is our national specialty treasurer has Newfoundlands, and I'll just
Okay.
plug in his ear.
Yeah,
So
that would be great. We'd appreciate that.
yeah, I don't know who their trial secretary is here locally. I might be able to find out. But it just seems to me like this is bringing some of us out of the 19th century and 20th century and into the 21st century. So we're only 21 years in, right?
This 6 years ago, this month, this has been 6 years since this was born, and it was because I was a first-time hunt test secretary for our club. I had just come back from my dad's funeral. I caught a cold on the way back. I am sitting in my trailer in the middle of the field from 8 o'clock at night until 11 o'clock at night with my hand cramping, hand writing results on our AKC forms. And my husband, who's a software engineer, says, "This is ridiculous. Why are we still doing this on paper?" And this came from my hardship and me looking out at my friends. I mean, this for my first time doing it. I'm looking out and they're out, drinking beer and having fun and talking and everything. And I'm writing results all night. And I'm like, this,
Yeah.
no wonder no one wants to be a secretary for our events. This sucks. So, our goal has been to make this easier. And I've been using it ever since. And every time we hold, for the first couple of years, every time we held an event, I'm like, we need this, we need this, we need this. I want this, I want this. And he did it. And this has grown from that.
It's awesome what you guys have done so far. I mean, it's really nice. And from what I can see, and I like that you have the option for different events other than just hunt and field trials, because there's a lot of people out there who do other things that can really benefit from stuff like this. So
yeah, which we're learning. And I really appreciate you guys contacting us, because now I get to learn a new dog event, and I love it.
yeah, well, and it's great. I was very impressed that you took the time to read our manual. There's people that have never even picked up a manual and they show Portuguese water dogs at water trials. So
oh gosh, that's no good. You got to know the rules. You got to know the rules going in.
As a judge, I'm like, I'm not here to hand walk you through all the steps, you got to know the rules. So yeah, I agree, but that impressed me. So I appreciate
well, thanks.
You're welcome. I don't think I have any other questions. Let me just, come on.
Just real quick, I'll let you know that we take extras, reservations for extras. So if anyone wants to camp on site, we can take reservations for that through the setup, or you guys have it through the setup. And
Okay.
through the entry process. So people can reserve Friday and Saturday night for camping or lunches. And if it's free lunch, we can help you take a head count and not charge. We provide those types of things. And then we do have free club websites for any clubs that are having trouble. Our club lost its our website and our domain address a couple of years ago, because two people that were managing it left the club and then it kind of disappeared. So we had to buy a new domain name, create a new website. So PerfDog got on board. We said, here you go. If you need it free, we have a free website for clubs. So that's something if you're interested in, or anyone else that might be interested in. And we also do take club membership, and we help you manage your membership list, send out newsletters, and do online ballots if your state law allows it and your bylaws for your club allows it. So we just a lot of different things. We're trying to help clubs in general, because we've seen our club struggle with certain things, and we know other clubs must be struggling as well. So
yeah, our national club actually, I've lost my full screen. It's driving me crazy. Sorry.
It's okay. Sometimes tech isn't always cooperative.
It is not cooperating at all. I can't see you anymore. There we go. So our national club, we actually lost our national specialty domain.
Oh, see, yeah, see.
The person who was managing it. So I can totally relate to that. I'm on the technology and internet committee for our club, and we just last year moved to a different we were on MemberClicks, which is very expensive. But so we just moved to a different platform that does member management, but they don't do dog clubs specifically. So that's where We just moved over and that's where our new site was built out and everything like that. But I'm sure a lot of our regional clubs, especially some of the smaller clubs that just don't have the capability,
Yeah.
could probably take advantage of it. And I actually sent your information to a friend of mine who has Portuguese water dogs and Malamutes. And I know the Malamute Club has still been doing all of their member management on paper. And
Yeah,
she's
that's
on
what
the
we were doing.
Yeah. So she's on the committee for the National Malamute Club of America to find a new solution. And it may be already too late for, they may have already made a decision, but I did let her know about that because I saw it on your website. So if you get a call from the Malamute Club, that's
Okay. Thank you. It's just, I find it easy compared to some websites, because I've built a website with another program and I thought that was really difficult. But what we have is fairly easy for anyone who isn't a web designer or understands how to do websites. We provide blocks where they can just quickly edit what's in the block and move on.
Yeah, that's
easy.
Yeah, we some of our clubs our regional clubs particularly can probably definitely benefit from something like that. So it used to be you had to know WordPress to do a website, and that's not true anymore. But some of the online build sites are definitely easier than others.
Agreed.
Our national specialty website is in, and I hate it.
Oh.
So I like our national website. Yeah, our national website is in our membership management system, and it's worked really well for us so far.
Good.
But Wix drives me. But anyways, more than you need to. So my son is also a software engineer. So
okay.
Yeah, it's a small world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
okay.
Let me know if you have questions. I'll send you some screenshots. And maybe we can tweak the words so that they are not confusing to the secretaries. With like you saw stakes and such. So and we'll go from there.
Okay.
And I'll send you the recorded link for this.
Yeah, if you can send me the recorded link for this, then I'll forward it on to the Water Trial Committee. Just to get their feedback. I think at this point, because we can't mandate anybody use the system right now. I think it's pretty cool that you bring in the AKC information. So like when I go in to log in, I'm actually going to go set myself up and see and just, set that up so that I can have that feeling for myself, because I haven't done that yet. But yeah. It looks good, and I think it sounds like you're willing to work with us, so I appreciate that.
Always. We're always improving it. We want it to be as flexible as it can be, and doing this is going to help us be flexible for all kinds of clubs.
Awesome.
And I love dogs. I love dog sports. I don't have any kids. My dogs, my Vizslas, this is what we do. And like I said, seeing them do what they're bred to do is awesome. And I love seeing them work. And we want to help clubs along the way run their events more effectively.
Great.
So we'll send you this link and the other things we discussed. And if you have any questions, let me know.
I will do that. Thank you so much for your time, Nita.
Thanks. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.